Hello fam! This is the Unit 8 overview, the overview for sampling. I'm not going to talk too much about what I have. I think that what I have written here is pretty self-explanatory, but I will zoom in on some parts so that you can use what I have if you think that it would be helpful. So this first bubble is just reminding me that our population and our sample have to match each other. They have to look like each other. You pull the sample from the population, and from there, from your sample, you can do an observational study or a sample survey. Notice that with these arrows, I have clearly written that there must be random selection here. So there must be random selection to get the people that we do the sample survey or to get the people that we observe. So these are the two types of sampling. And then down here, I'm just making sure that I know that random sampling allows us to make inference about the population. Because we are choosing our sample randomly, that's what allows us to say we think that this is true for all people, not just the 400 people that we looked at. We have sampling and non-sampling errors here, and just remember that they're different. So sampling errors occur when the method is bad. We have to be very clear on the fact that this happens when our method is bad. Then, sorry, I'm just trying to get this to show all of it, but it's like not working. Okay. So method is bad. There's no way to fix bias. Bias is worst case scenario, and there are two ways that we can get bias. Our sampling method is bad, so sampling errors, and non-sampling errors. So sampling errors happen when the method is bad. Non-sampling is possible even when the method is good. Convenience sampling often results in undercoverage. Voluntary response often results in non-response bias. In both of these top two situations, the sample does not look like the population. Undercoverage means somebody is underrepresented. Non-response, same thing. Somebody's underrepresented, but the issue is that they just didn't respond. You can have undercoverage even when you don't take a convenience sample. You can have non-response even when you don't take a voluntary response sample. But these convenience often results in undercoverage. Voluntary response often results in non-response. These two, our sample looks like the population, but either they misremembered or lied, or we led them to the response that we wanted. How to sample well. I have my 3 simple random samples and then my systematic. I also have my stratified, and I've tried to add in notes here. So I've written in like a little example to myself that within each strata the people would have the same opinion, but if you compare the 2 strata, they would have a different opinion. So that's my reminder that the stratas look similar, but if you compare them to each other, they are different. You have to combine your stratas in order for your sample to be representative of the population. Remember, stratified has a statistical advantage. Match the S's, S and S. Stratified can guarantee equal representation. Cluster sample has a logistical advantage, meaning it's quicker and it's easier. And we have to keep in mind, I haven't said this enough, it's quicker and easier than a stratified. So when we say it's quicker and easier, we mean specifically than a stratified sample. These two are often considered the best sampling methods, so that's why we're comparing them to each other. This has a statistical advantage, this has a logistical advantage. It's quicker and easier than this. Bias. So state your bias. Either the sample does not represent the population, and you get that from convenience, voluntary response, undercoverage, non-response. So bias happens when the sample does not look like the population, and that happens when you have these four things, or you have response bias, or you have question wording. Explain the specific issue, tell the direction of the bias. Remember, you cannot fix bias. And then this is me doing those 3 bullet points. So state the bias, response bias, explain the issue. People are likely to lie about texting while driving because they wouldn't want to admit they put themselves and others at risk. Tell the direction. This will result in an underestimate of the actual proportion. So this is a visual representation of our sampling unit. This is a visual representation of our sampling unit. This is not all that you can or should include for your overview. Remember, we're now getting to the point where what you want to put on this overview are the things that you would want to be able to use when you take your actual AP exam. So you probably need more than what I have written here in your overview. We have this now in addition to this page. But honestly, if I were you guys, I would write on the back of this everything else that I might want to know. I wholeheartedly believe that it does give you some advantage in the end, and any advantage is better than no advantage. So you have this visual representation of the unit. You have this visual representation of the different sampling methods. You may want to use the back of your overview to add in more things that you think that you would need. As usual, if you have any questions, just make sure that you ask me or email me. And I think that's it. Love you guys.